Hey guys, Amber Gray, founder and CEO over here at Trusty Oak. Happy New Year. Today's video, I want to share with you some ideas on the art of delegation. So delegation is not something that comes natural to most people, I'm finding, and it really is a challenge that we face, especially as we're growing and we're delegating for the first time. So in this video, I'm going to cover some tips for how to work best with an assistant, and really anyone that you're delegating tasks to. There are some key things that you can focus on to get the most out of the working relationship and really to set yourself up for success in continuing to scale and grow your business. All right, so the most important first thing to do is to communicate your expectations from the start. There's several areas of expectation that you want to communicate with a focus on these three areas. So one, you want to communicate what your expectation is in terms of their availability. This is especially important if you're working with a remote worker and you're not seeing someone in the office, but you want to know what are you able to give me in terms of availability. Related to that, the second thing is turnaround time. You want to talk about what your expectation is in turnaround time for answering emails or replying to Slack messages or phone calls or completing a task that you have delegated. So from the beginning, before you ever delegate anything, start talking about this. You want to tell your assistant what you expect, but then also ask them, what can you commit to? What restrictions might you have? What other commitments do you have that might hinder or cause us not to be on the same page in terms of expectations? What can we do to establish something that we can both agree on now from the beginning before delegation ever begins? That's going to be the most important thing. The other thing, when you're delegating tasks that you want to communicate in terms of expectation is, what are you expecting in terms of the quality? There's a huge range of expectations on this. Everyone has a different level of what they're expecting. It depends on the importance of the project, obviously, but it's easiest if you can take the time to show an example of something that meets your expectations or exceeds at least meets your expectations. But even say, this is something I really like, but what I'm looking for is something even more or whatever. Just, you really want to take the time to give your assistant an idea of what you're expecting in terms of the quality as well as the turnaround time and their availability. So that's number one, communicate what you're expecting, get the buy-in from your assistant on what they're able to commit to as well. The second big thing that I think that is helpful is establishing a tiered level of guidelines for communication. So what I mean by that is there's going to be different ways that you communicate with someone, particularly a virtual assistant. If you're probably going to be communicating a lot by email, no problem, that's expected. You've also got Slack, you've got text messages, you've got phone calls. There may be something else that I'm not even thinking of that may be a preferred way of communicating. Maybe it's in your project management software, for example. You want to talk about kind of the tiers of escalation, so to speak, in terms of the urgency of your product or your request, I should say. So what I would recommend is saying, maybe email is the way we're going to communicate, just normal day-to-day operations. But if I need something urgent, I'm going to Slack you. I'm not going to Slack you unless it's urgent. I'm not going to text you unless it's urgent. I'm not going to call you unless it's something time sensitive. That's really going to make a big difference in terms of, again, going back to setting expectations. It helps to know, for your assistant to know when something is a little more time sensitive. If they're used to checking in on emails 3 or 4 times a day, that you know that they're going to get to that email within a certain time frame. If it's something that you really need a quick answer on within the hour or within 10 or 15 minutes, Slack might be a better way to do it, or a text message. And for those things that really just cannot wait, they're truly urgent, phone call. So I would say talk to your assistant to see what's going to work for you, your systems, your processes, all of that good stuff, but set those guidelines in place from the beginning so that you both are on the same page and know when something is urgent. All right, and the last thing is probably one of the most important things that I cannot stress enough, and that is a willingness to collaborate. So when you hire an assistant, it's really easy to think this is something that's going to let me just offload things from my plate, have someone else do it. Great, delegation is so amazing. I don't have to do these tasks anymore. But the truth is, in the beginning, collaboration is super important and really on an ongoing basis as well, but especially when you're first getting started. So my recommendation is to go into the relationship knowing that you're going to need to collaborate. There are some ways that you can do that efficiently and better than you think, especially if we're thinking about remote work. I recommend using Loom. Website is useloom.com. It is a free screen recording app. It lets you record your screen, record yourself talking. You can have the camera on you as well. You can have both going. It's really easy, just straight from the browser or the desktop app, to be able to just start recording, talk through a process, give somebody a visual just like you would if you were to sit down with them and show them how to do something. That's going to be the biggest thing. Look for tools and ways that you can collaborate. Another thing you can do, if you're used to using Zoom for video conferencing, you can just start a meeting, start recording that meeting, and do the same thing with screen share and talking through, and then save the Zoom file. I like Loom better just because you're able to share a link, and it can even play right in an email, right in Slack. You can save folders so that someone could refer back to those videos later, share those folders with your assistant. So there are a lot of different ways, but again, think about ways you can collaborate, ways you can help. The other part of that is really just being prepared to give direction, to document the processes ahead of time, to be prepared. Don't just throw them in and expect them to read your mind and know what you need. So take some time before you start to delegate to prepare, to have some material to share, to have some videos created, or sit down in an old-fashioned meeting. Well, maybe not so old-fashioned if it's remote. You can get on Zoom to have a meeting and just collaborate together to work through a project. Other collaborative tools like Google Docs, Google Sheets, things like that update in the cloud, those are great because you can add comments, you can make edits to the same document without having to save various versions and sending emails back and forth. So I hope these ideas have been helpful to you. If you have other ideas for ways to collaborate specifically with a remote worker, I'd love to hear them. I get questions all the time how to work best with my virtual assistant. Delegation's hard. We're all in it together. Let's help each other. I welcome your comments and the feedback here. So let us know how we can help you. If you're struggling to delegate or just looking for somebody to bounce ideas off of, give me a call. You can sign up for a free consultation right on our website. We'll talk about a delegation strategy just for you.